Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the first module of Introduction to Psychology. In this module, we will be talking about what is psychology, what are its major goals, how did it evolve as a discipline, its branches, and eventually we will also talk about some myths associated with the field of psychology and the reality behind them. So, let us begin. When we try to define a discipline, we are interested in two facts. What does the discipline study and how does it study it? Psychology can be defined as a science which studies mental processes, human experiences and behavior. And the way it does that is by trying to find out a causal explanation on how the mind works and how different mental processes result in different behaviors. The interesting thing about psychology is that it is accepted as both a natural science and a social science. A natural science because, just like other natural sciences such as physics, chemistry, and biology, psychology also focuses on empirical methods, objectivity, and the replicability of the researches and the work it does. While it is equally powerful as a social science because of the way it focuses on the social context and human behavior and human interaction, which is a unique feature of psychology. Let us now talk about the goals of psychology. There are four widely accepted goals of psychology that are to describe behavior, to explain behavior, to predict behavior, and to change behavior. When we talk about describing a behavior, our major focus is on explaining what is happening. When we talk about describing a behavior, our usual focus is on the fact that we are able to understand the ongoing event in a better manner and have a better perspective on it. The second goal of psychology, explaining behavior, focuses on the question why. Once we know what is happening, our next focus goes on the fact that why is it happening? As psychologists, we might be interested in knowing both internal and external factors which are contributing to a certain behavior so that the cause and effect relationships are known to us and human behavior becomes more understandable to us. Psychology also talks about predicting behavior. Once we have described any event or behavior and we have also explained the reason for why is it happening, we then aim to foresee a pattern of behavior through which we can conclude when and why and how it might happen again. The fourth and the last goal of psychology is changing behavior. Once we have answered the question that why a behavior happened and we have also designed the pattern that when can this behavior happen again, we can very well control certain measures or certain factors within the individual or in his surroundings which might make a change to the existing behavior pattern. The change we are talking about here is usually positive, constructive, and meaningful, which modifies the behavior of a client for better. Let us now understand these four goals with the help of an example. A girl is brought to a counselor with certain issues. The counselor's first goal would be to describe the behavior, that is, what is the issue with the girl. For example, the girl says the issue with the girl is sudden decline in her academic performance. So the first goal of psychology was to describe what is happening, and what is happening is the girl faces a sudden decline in her academic performance. The next thing the psychologist wants to know is why is it happening? So the psychologist might like to dig in deep into the current patterns or the recent happenings which happened with the girl. Once the client knows why the behavior is happening, for let us say it happens because of a personal trauma the girl faced. Some traumatic experience, maybe some unpleasant behavior or an unpleasant experience or encounter with somebody. Now the counselor or the psychologist predicts that if the girl is brought into contact with the similar situation or the same person who was responsible for that traumatic experience, the girl might start behaving odd again. Ultimately, the counselor would like the girl to change this behavior of distractibility, irritability, nervousness, and anxiety, and would like the girl to do better again. So, those are the four goals of psychology explained. In this section, we will talk about the emergence of psychology as an independent branch of science. Initially, psychology was considered to be an integral and inseparable part of philosophy, but eventually its focus on objectivity and something which is observable brought it out as a unique discipline demanding attention. The beginning of modern psychology can be said to have happened in 1879 when Wilhelm Wundt established the first laboratory of psychology in the Leipzig University of Germany. Wundt was interested in studying and analyzing the structure of one's mind using the method of introspection, that is, self-realization and making oneself aware of one's inner thoughts and feelings. The emphasis on the structure of mind led to the naming of his system as structuralism. Since Wundt was the first one to talk about a formal school of psychology, his ideas were widely spread and a number of people were engaged in the method of introspection. However, some people had a disagreement as the technique of introspection was something highly subjective and cannot give us empirical and objective data to deal with, thus restricting psychology from acting like a proper science. One of these people who disagreed with introspection and the idea of structuralism was William James, who had his own laboratory set up in Cambridge and developed what was called the functionalist approach. James' approach believed that psychology should focus on the functioning of mind rather than the structure of the mind, and it is more important to analyze the function of mind and behavior in making people deal with their environment in a certain way. Another major reaction to structuralism was the behaviorist school of The behaviorist school of thought was led by John Watson, and it was a very radical and empirical school. According to behaviorism, only what is observable can be taken into consideration for further analysis, and hence psychology should only focus on the observable behavior of humans, and their interaction with the environment should be studied on a strictly stimulus response pattern. He discouraged the ideas which talked about the focus on unconscious and internal processes taking place in the human mind, as they were very subjective and were completely a matter of the person reporting them. Another school of thought which brought about the huge wave of debates and conflicts in the field of psychology was psychoanalysis. Founded by Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysis was an approach which believed that human behavior is the direct product of the intrapsychic conflicts and the unconscious desires and thoughts of a person. Freud laid a huge emphasis on the past of an individual in order to know more about his present situation and problems. He also believed that repressed desires and memories have a great role to play in an individual's personality. Although Freud's overemphasis on unconscious and sexuality brought him under scrutiny, but some of his concepts still remain persistent and prominent in the field of psychology. Another major force that gained the attention of everyone with its fresh perspective was the humanistic school of psychology, which was led by Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. This school of thought believed that all human beings are innately good and strive to unfold their potential, and this desire of unfolding their potential determines their interaction with the environment and other people. The humanistic school of thought was essentially a positive school of thought which did not talk about the negative aspects of human mind and instead believed every individual to be equally good within and that everyone is capable of achieving his utmost potential. The humanistic school of psychology was highly appreciated for the positivity in its outlook, but it was also criticized to an extent as it lacked empiricism and objectivity. Let us now talk about what are the different branches of psychology or what are the different fields where psychologists operate or function. The first branch of psychology we are going to discuss is cognitive psychology. The word cognition derives its roots from the Latin word cognitare. Thus, cognitive psychology is specifically associated with mental processes. Cognitive psychology investigates the mental processes which are involved in the transformation, storage, manipulation, and application of information. The major emphasis of cognitive psychology is on finding out what processes lead to the interpretation and application of existing information by a human being. Some of the key processes which are studied under cognitive psychology are decision making, problem solving, and the use of language and memory. Cognitive psychology is a very rapidly emerging branch of psychology, and with the latest equipments and technology available, it is really very convenient and feasible to see the effect of different mental processes directly on different areas of brain. There are a number of researches going on which study the cognitive processes with the help of equipment which help them substantiate their findings with the proofs that are biological in nature. For example, in a research conducted in 2013, it was found that the people who learned to be compassionate in a 15-day training program had some permanent changes in their brain areas, which means that when they were taught a new way to react to things, that is, with compassion, their brain adapted to it and made permanent changes in its biological structure. Another major branch of psychology is biological psychology, which aims to relate the human behavior and processes to the physiology of our body or the physical systems such as our nervous system, our endocrine system, or genetics. Such as when we feel emotional about something or when we have a certain arousal in us, the activation of the autonomic nervous system and different hormones which operate at the time are a matter of specific concern for the psychologists studying biological psychology. It is also interesting for the psychologists to know what makes you behave in a certain situation which might run into your family, such as the trait of being aggressive or being temperamental or inheriting intelligence from your parents, and likewise. Biological psychology aims to find out How does the different system in our body coordinate or cause different behavioral reactions? The key belief is that our physical conditions highly affect the way we behave in a certain situation. Industrial psychology. It is an emerging branch of psychology which deals specifically with the behavior that takes place in a workplace. This behavior can be an interaction among two fellow workers, or an interaction between the boss and the employees, or it can be an interaction between a lot of workers and the boss or amongst themselves. It specifically deals with the factors which can lead to the better performance of the people in an organization and what factors actually determine the motivation level and the level of optimum performance of the workers at any organization or institution. The knowledge of industrial psychology has helped several organizations to reach their employees' utmost potential and enhance their productivity. Another very important branch of psychology is the social psychology. Social psychology explores how people are affected by their surroundings, how one person, his thoughts, behaviors, and actions can influence the others around him. Social psychology also talks about group phenomena such as prejudice and stereotypes. Social psychology has always been a matter of interest for the psychologists as it largely affects the way a broad geographical area behaves and acts. Another very popular branch of psychology is the developmental psychology. It aims to study the different psychological social changes which take place in humans at different ages and stages of life. Developmental psychology spans from birth to old age and studies all the psychological aspects and social aspects which are changing a person's behavior patterns of interaction constantly through these ages and the reasons behind that. As we know, environment is something which surrounds us. Environmental psychology is a branch of psychology that studies human interaction with physical factors which are present in our environment and the people who are present in our surroundings. For example, let us talk about some people who have recently witnessed a natural disaster. Facing a natural disaster was an encounter with the physical environment. Now, if we talk about their mental stages, what would be their state of mind? Will all of them be equally distressed, or will some of them have hopes for the future? Will all of them will be equally negative and skeptical, or will somebody be full of hope that something good will still happen to them? Such kind of behaviors and incidents specifically interest the environmental psychologists. They also are interested in knowing how human beings respond differently to different environmental cues and situations. Most of you have been attracted to psychology when you would have heard about interesting psychological conditions or some psychological disorders which might have been hard to believe when you first heard them. Clinical psychology is the most popular branch of psychology which deals with different types of mental disorders and psychological conditions and their causes and treatment. Clinical psychology enables an individual to treat different disorders using specific therapies for each of them, and most important of all, it enables an individual to make correct diagnosis using the right knowledge to assess the symptoms in the correct light of information. I believe counseling is the word most of you have heard before joining this course. Counseling is the process of guiding or driving a person through some specific problems of his or her life. Counseling is done by an expert which is formally educated for doing so. Counseling psychology aims to improve someone's problems and everyday life functioning by dealing with the situations they are facing a problem in. By guiding them and by providing them appropriate solutions to manage challenging situations and enhance their coping skills, counseling psychologists help people of all age groups and all social classes. Let us now talk about some of the most widespread myths regarding psychology and the reality associated with them. The first and the most widely heard myth is that psychologists can read minds. So let me tell you, psychologists cannot read anybody's mind. The people who are professional psychologists, they are trained as great observers and listeners. While you speak, they observe your body language, they observe your non-verbal cues, they observe your eye movements, the expressions you give, and everything which leads them to make a good assessment about you. But that does not mean that they are inside your head reading your mind. They are just good observers and great listeners. The second myth regarding psychology is that a psychologist gets paid a lot of money just to listen people talking. It is not true. A therapist or psychologist is engaged in a psychological session completely. While in a therapy session, he or she is continuously engaged in different mental activities, such as assessing the client's situation, making notes of the ongoing conversation, encouraging the client at the right moments, asking questions at the right time, providing advice or confrontation wherever necessary, and also providing the client with immediate help if required and long-term improvement goals, which is not an easy task. A psychologist offers empathy and genuineness to the client every time he sees them. So it is not just listening to somebody talk. It includes hard work on the part of the psychologist and the client both. So this was the first module for the introduction to psychology, guys. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you all in the second module.